The book of Genesis contains one of the stories we should all be familiar with, the creation story, where in 6 days God created the universe and all life as we know it, finally resting on the 7th day. On the 6th day, God created all animals, creatures, and the human race, but, unlike God's other creations which were just spoken into existence, God spent time to make us, shaping us into their own image from the earth and then breathing life into us. From that act alone, we can assume that the human race is God's most valuable creation. God also gave humans free choice and control over the earth, as well as all the animals that were made. We were also provided with a wonderful place to live in the Garden of Eden, where there was an abundance of plants with food. It is believed that God created the garden so that we could live forever, granted we never eat from a specific tree. But here's what I don't understand. God is said to be all-knowing, all-seeing, and all-present. This would mean God knows what we would do before doing them, meaning God knew that Eve would have been tempted to eat the forbidden fruit, condemning all mankind to sin and death. But why? And then a thought hit me. What if that was the plan all along? Religion is a debatable subject. Today we have over 4,000 different religions with different teachings and deities. But even so, each of these religions has a similar creation story, where their respective deities played a part in their creation, the realities, the universe, and all life as we know it. They also all contain their version of the downfall of man. But was this supposed to happen? And does this mean that God may not have been as benevolent as we may think? I am not an atheist, but it is important to question the world around us. Without questioning our world, we may have never figured out most of what we know today, and our society could have been one that made no progress since its inception. It is this line of questioning that led me to believe that maybe humans were never meant to have eternal life, and were destined to sin and eventually die. Now you might say, well, that's not true, but the most obvious fact is that we die. If death was never intended to be a part of our design, then the human race would have eternal life. We can also assume that God didn't make a mistake at placing the tree of knowledge of good and evil in the Garden of Eden, as I'm sure many religious figures would argue that God is a perfect deity who doesn't make mistakes. Then why was the tree placed in the garden to begin with? God could have placed the tree anywhere on earth. Better yet, God could also have not created the tree at all. Many religious scholars would argue that God placed the tree in the garden as a test of Adam and Eve's obedience. But since God is omniscient, then God would have already known beforehand the results of that test. Or is this evidence to prove that God might in fact not be all-knowing as we are led to believe? However, God being all-knowing would be the undisputed evidence that we are meant to die. The question is why? Why would God predetermine that their most valuable creation should die? To answer this question, let's think about what would happen if humans didn't die. Unfortunately, the resources on Earth are limited, and if all the humans from the creation of Adam and Eve were still alive today, then that would be a major problem. Not only would there not be enough resources to go around, but we would also face a population crisis. We have already seen what this may look like in future dystopian movies, such as Ready Player One, where most of the population is living in a state of decay, and in order to deal with their reality, many people choose to escape reality into an alternate reality, which, if you haven't realized, Mark Zuckerberg is trying to create with the metaverse. However, even if overpopulation and limited resources were the outcomes of not eating the fruit from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, we could assume that humans would have lived harmoniously and truly cared for each other. We also have no idea what plans God had in store for us, and the problem of overpopulation and limited resources could have easily been solved by God, making the human race a true star-faring civilization. Imagine if every 100 years you get to live on a new planet in a new galaxy. We'll never know. But was it God's intention for humans to actually die? The simple answer to this is, we don't know. There are varying perspectives on this question. But as I said at the start, I believe that we were meant to die because if that wasn't God's intention, we'd never have the tree of knowledge to eat from. Then again, the experience of death gives meaning and value to life. Death helps us to appreciate the limited time that we have and make the most of it. Without the prospect of death, life may lose its sense of purpose and become meaningless. We wouldn't know how to value eternal life if we had no idea what it means to die. Let me know what you thought about this video in the comments section below. And before you go, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications so you don't miss out on any of our future content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.